Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to achieve this look from the very beginning. I'm going to show you all the face products that I use and the eye makeup. This is going to be just a very fresh and light everyday makeup tutorial, perfect for summer in my opinion when it is hotter out. So if you want to see how I got this look, then just keep on watching. Alright guys, so today I'm going to show you just a very light, fresh makeup look. A lot of times I do my base off camera when I do my tutorials, but I really wanted to go through and show you all the steps for just a very light and fresh makeup look. This type of look is something I do pretty often, at least most of it. So the first step is going to be to prime, and I always use a very hydrating primer. This is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. Even though I technically just did my skincare because I'm filming this in the morning, I still go in with this primer for the extra moisture after my skincare has already set in. I feel like this just makes a huge difference in how my makeup looks. Now, even though I have oily skin, I swear by moisturizing primers. I feel like in the past, whenever I would use matte primers, my skin would always just look so bad. It would look so dry, even though I have oily skin. I don't feel like this interferes with the longevity, even though, like I said, my skin does get a little bit oily throughout the day. So I highly recommend, if you are oily, to just give a moisturizing primer a try. Maybe not this one specifically, but just give it a try and see how you feel about your makeup. I think you will be happy with the results. So, anytime I'm doing just a light makeup look, I don't go in with any foundation. I don't even go in with my tinted moisturizer. Now, if you do want to have just a little bit more coverage, you definitely could, but all I'm going to do is go in with my Laura Mercier concealer and my Giorgio Armani powder foundation, which I'm really pleased to share that I have officially hit pan in this product. I've owned this since Christmas. My boyfriend got me this for Christmas and I absolutely love this powder. I will definitely be repurchasing it once I run out, but it's very exciting to see pan in this because I don't very often hit pan on anything. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do my concealing. Basically, I'm just going to cover any major areas that I want to have a little bit of coverage just to even out my skin tone. I find that concealer can really stand in for foundation a lot of times. Even a tinted moisturizer. I do go in with my tinted moisturizer some days, but then there's days when I just want to go in with my concealer. Especially if you are on a time crunch, just going in with a concealer and a powder foundation, super quick. So like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and put the concealer in any areas that I feel I want to cover. So I always like to do some in the center, under the eyes. I will also conceal my lids because I am going to go in with a little bit of shadow. So as you can see, most of my concealer is being focused in the center of my face. I feel like, on the sides of my face, my skin tone is pretty even, so this powder is enough to kind of just bring it all together. But I do have some problem areas in the center, so that is why I do like to bring the concealer in these areas. And I'm just taking my damp beauty blender and blending everything out. I have a lot more redness in the center of my face too, like in this region. So that's another reason why I bring my concealer in this area, whereas on my cheeks I don't really have a lot of redness. So that is again another reason why I usually bring my concealer in the center of my face. And I'm just really making sure to blend this into the skin, make sure there's nothing that is unblended or harsh. And I definitely like to conceal my lids too because you can see my veins and stuff. So just to make everything again more even. And I'm just going to look up close to make sure there's nothing that looks dry or unblended. I find that this Laura Mercier concealer rarely ever looks dry. There are some times if my skin is just a little bit more dry that it can look a little bit dry, but I can usually always maneuver it to make it look not dry. But most of the time when I use this concealer, I don't have any issues with it being dry or looking dry. So as you can see, my skin just looks a lot more evened out, and I still have a little bit of a glow from the Bobbi Brown primer. So I feel like this is overall, I'm pretty content with how my skin looks. Of course, you're still going to see a little bit, but this is supposed to be a light and fresh look. So, you know, of course, everybody's skin has something. It's not just 100% perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Giorgio Armani powder. I wear the shade 2. I don't think the shade range is very big on this. I don't remember for sure, but I feel like it wasn't. So anyway, I'm taking this on my powder brush. This is my Pro Featherweight Complexion Brush number 90 from Sephora. This is hands down my absolute favorite brush for setting my skin and using my powder. I'm just going to dip into that, coat the brush, and then I always start on the outer portion of my face because I don't want anything to look cakey in the center. So I always start on the outer perimeter and start bringing it inward. I never find that this powder ever looks cakey, honestly. I feel like it always looks good. So that is a pro to this powder, whereas sometimes with, you know, different like translucent powders and loose powders, I feel like those can start to look heavy pretty quickly. So that is pretty much it for setting. Again, I feel like you can tell that my skin just looks a lot more even now compared to how it did when I started. Now, of course, my skin all kind of just looks like one tone, so we are going to correct that. But first what I want to do is just to add a little bit something. I'm going to take the Jaclyn Cosmetics Brighten Up Moon, or whatever she calls this powder. It's the loose highlighting powder, the Mood Light or Moonlight, something like that. It's the one that's more subtle. That's what I want to do for this look. I don't want to go in with a full-blown highlight. So I'm just going to take some of this in the cap, and I'm going to take... First, I'm going to go ahead and go in with the brush that came with this in the set. I forget. This is the J01. I don't really use this that often, but I figured might as well try it out. So I'm just going to coat the brush in there, tap off the excess. And then I'm just going to lightly start on like the forehead area, just brushing it. This is not going to be super intense highlight, but I feel like you can see a bit of a glow from it. So again, just tap in lightly, then go into the cheek area, just kind of all over, but focusing. When I first put it on my skin, I'm starting at the high point and then kind of blending it downward. So as you can see, there's definitely a little bit of a glow. It's nothing intense, it's not like a full-blown highlight, but for this kind of look, I don't need a full-blown highlight, you know? So then, I'm going to go in with my Marc Jacobs Omega Bronzer in Tantastic. And I will go ahead and take that on my Morphe and Jaclyn Hill JH05. I really like this for bronzing because I feel like I can really focus it into the like dips in my cheeks. So I'm just tapping into this, tapping it off, and I'm just going to lightly bronze. Since I want this look to be more light, I'm not going to go in super heavy. It looks more intense on camera than it does in person. And I'm not being overly precise either, you know, because I just want to look like I have some color to my skin and a little bit of bronze. And that is it. So as far as my face goes, that is it for my face makeup. So as you can see, I just look a little bit more put together, a little bit more fresh, a little bit, you know, more even toned. So I'm happy with the results there. Now what I have been doing lately is actually taking like a dark brown eyeshadow and doing my brows with that versus my pencil that I have. And I feel like it just fills it in a little bit more naturally, I guess you could say. So I'm going to take an angled brush and I'm just going to dip into, what shade is this? This is Soda Pop. It looks more black on camera, but it's deep, but it is a brown. This is the original Jaclyn and Morphe palette, by the way. So I'm just going to dip into that very lightly, and I don't want to do anything too intense with my brows because, again, this is a light look, and I have decent brows on their own, so I don't need to go crazy. I'm just going to fill in a little bit, very lightly. And once most of the product is spread to the outer part, that is when I drag into the front, just very, very lightly. And I will brush it out. And that is pretty much it. As you can see, it definitely did do a little something, but it's nothing overly intense. It looks very similar to my other eyebrow. This one's not done, this one is, but it does just look overall a little bit cleaner. So again, same thing on the other brow. You can choose to do your brows however you usually do. I am not super experienced with doing brows, so I've been playing around lately with different techniques, and I find that this is a nice one to keep more of a natural look. I feel like it's easier to control with a powder, and you can more easily take away versus with a pencil, because once I comb my brows out, any of the excess shadow kind of comes off, so it's nice because I feel like it's a lot harder to go overboard when you use a shadow. And again, just brush it out. I do desperately need to get my eyebrows waxed again, but because of the whole, pandemic, I have not been to get my brows done. But as you can see, these look a lot cleaner and a lot nicer and just more put together. It kind of brings in the look overall. And now I'm going to go ahead and take my brow gel and set them. So I have my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Boost and Set, and this works nicely to just set the brows into place. Because I did use a shadow, I feel like it is a little bit more critical to set the brows down, whereas when I use my L'Oreal Brow Pencil, I don't always set that down. I feel like it just kind of stays on its own a little bit easier. And that is it. So now, like I said, the face is done, the brows are done. We're gonna move on to the eyes. Now for the eyes, I'm going to keep it very simple. I don't want anything crazy. I know a lot of my looks on my channel are usually more natural, but this I'm going to just keep super, super simple. So I'm gonna go in with the shade Silk Cream, or Silk Creme, right here. This is the lightest, I would say this is the lightest brown in the palette. And I have used this one quite a bit. I can see a lot of indentation in it, but I'm gonna go ahead and take this on just a fluffy crease brush. This is the MAC 224. I'm gonna dip into that, coating the brush, and I'm gonna tap it off a little bit, and then I'm just going to really carefully buff this into the crease. And I'm dipping back in as necessary. I'm not really liking this brush at the moment. I'm going to switch to my Sigma E40. It's a little bit fluffier. This is my favorite crease brush, so I'm just going to tap into that. Alright, so as you can see, this added a little bit of color, but it's nothing extreme. You can see a difference from this eye, and in my opinion, this looks a lot more pulled together than this one does. So I'm just going to do the same thing on the other eye and just fluff this into the crease. The nice thing about this color is since it is lighter, I don't have to be so precise. Now you don't have to necessarily use this specific palette in this shade. Just find yourself a similar shade to this, a very light crease shade for yourself. Everybody is going to have a different skin tone and a different shade that suits them, but you just want something more on the natural lighter side that's not going to be super dark on you. So there, now my eyes look a little bit more pulled together, and on some days I will just leave it like this. I will buff it into my lower lash line as well, and we're good to go. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to take my Morphe Jaclyn Hill JH38, it's just a little like pencil brush, and I'm going to again dip into Silk Creme and just buff this into the lower lash line. I don't want anything too smoky. Again, this is supposed to be light and fresh. I just want to connect it a little bit and bring some color to the lower lash line. So there we go. As you can see, it's nothing too extreme. I think I need to add just a little bit more to this eye. There we go. So there is what the eyes are looking like so far. Now I'm debating on if I want to go in with a light shade. Let me see. Honestly, I feel like I could truthfully just leave the eyes here for like a more fresh look, but I think what I'll do just for the heck of it is I'll take this shade, which is Obsessed, just a very light shimmery shade, and these are not super metallic shimmers in my opinion, so that's why I feel okay with going in with this, because it's just going to be light. I'm just going to tap this on the lid and just add a little something to the lid, but I don't want it to be too intense. Again, I'm just tapping this out on the lid, nothing too crazy. I don't necessarily want to build up this shade too much. I just want to add it to bring a little bit of light to the lid. So as you can see, here's where we're at with the eyes. One more time, I'm going to go in with Silk Creme, the original shade we used, and just kind of buff this into the outer corner and the crease. And that is it for the eyes. So very simple, very light. Once I add mascara and eyeliner, it will really pull it all together. But really quick, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of light to the inner corner. I'm going to mix these two shades, which are in Light and Beam. I really love these two for highlighting the inner corner and stuff. So I'm just going to lightly add a little bit of that. As you can see, I didn't do too much. I don't want it to be too intense. That is it. So I'm even gonna leave my brow bone plain. I don't want to do too much there. So now what I want to do is I'm just gonna go in with my eyeliner, and I'm also gonna go in with my Lancome Monsieur Big mascara, and I will come back to kind of finish up the look and wrap everything up. Alright guys, so this is the completed look. I added my Urban Decay eyeliner and the Lancome Monsieur Big mascara. This is my first time using this mascara, and I feel like it did a really nice job. For an everyday fresh look, you really want to have a good mascara, I feel like, because adding something to the lashes just kind of wakes up the eyes, in my opinion. Honestly, anytime I do a makeup look, I cannot omit mascara. It just... To me, if I omit the mascara, I might as well have not done anything on my face or eyes at all. So a good mascara is definitely key. You can, of course, go ahead and skip the black liner. You could even do like a nude liner. But for me personally, I feel like I just can't do my eyes without a black liner. That is always what I reach for. I also wanted to add, I did not add a lipstick. The only thing I have on my lips is the Laneige Glowy Lip Balm. I feel like for a fresh everyday look, you don't necessarily need a lipstick. You could go in with like a nice nude color. This is Morphe Virgin. I do like this for everyday as well, but I wanted to just keep my lips more hydrated and just more natural. I feel like it suits the look really well. And of course, you don't have to use this specific palette to create this look. Just use any light crease shade on yourself, and maybe just a little bit of a light shade to add a little bit of light to the lid, and something to highlight the inner corner, and that is it. I really do like this palette for a variety of everyday looks. I feel like there are some really nice, just neutral shades in this palette. Like I said, the shimmers in here are not overly intense, so that's great for like an everyday look. As you can see on the lid, it added a little bit of shine, but it's nothing super in your face. So this is a great palette for everyday, but of course you can reach into any palette you prefer for an everyday look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this fresh and light makeup tutorial. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe before you go. Also, go ahead and leave me a comment letting me know what your favorite everyday palette is. I would love to know. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.